Live from, that's the first time I ever looked at Matt before I talked. Live from 2022. Again, it's your heartwarming dose of busy nuggets, joined as always by eminent Emma Lurking
I
and
see what you did
manicured Matt Muscardi. I'm basically fake whipped cream. Today,
Yeah.
in our noodly nuggets called January 4th, 2022, a CEO is guilty of something. PBR has a
Really?
potty mouth, and Bloomberg hates ESG. What does Bloomberg hate? We'll try to figure it out later.
What don't they hate?
But the big story of the day is obvious. You've seen it in all the papers, I hope, by now, and that is Pabst Blue Ribbon apologizes for tweeting, "Not drinking this January, try eating ass." Sorry,
That was the.
I'm not proud of this story, and I can only do it with Matt around, so thank God Matt joined us today, because he lost power for most of the morning. Here we go, Matt. So PBR tweeted, "Not drinking this January, try eating ass." One Twitter user said, "PBR or ass, what's the difference?" The corporate account replied, "Ask your mom." Another Twitter user replied, "I don't know what this is about, but it's hilarious." And then again, the corporate account replied, "It's about ass and eating it." I mean, like, I know this sounds silly, but just be warned that in our 2022 wrap up, this is probably gonna resurface again, because this is crazy. I mean, this is corporate craziness. That's all I'm gonna say. So they apologized, and I love when they say this. They said, "In no way does the content of these tweets reflect the values of Pabst and
No
our
way.
associates." But I mean, you hired him. It's obviously a him, but so clearly it does reflect something, right? Am I wrong here?
No.
They hire asses. That's how it does reflect.
So I did a little digging. 'Cause I don't know much about PBR. The website lists 6 executives, including CEO and chair Eugene Kashper, a crazy Russian. But that's actually a mistake. They've employed someone to tweet about ass, but not to update their website, because Paul Chibe became CEO on December 1st. So PBR's website is at least 5 weeks behind. So that's 7 executives and only 1 woman, which surprises no one, and that's Chief Cultural Officer Elia Wilhelm. Sounds like a challenging culture to wrangle, Elia. I mean, imagine dealing with that.
In fairness, those tweets were sent in 1997. So
PBR is owned by now Executive Chair Kashper in TSG Consumer Partners, a San Francisco-based private equity firm. Senior leadership at TSG is notably female and blonde. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just reporting what I see. I went down a rabbit hole of like Roger Ailes, Fox News jokes, but I decided not to do it because I thought it would make me look like a jerk. So TSG Consumer, 17 executives.
Control.
TSG Consumer, 17 executives, 6 of whom are blonde female. That's a full 35%. And that's notable. I'm just saying. Even the New York Times backs me up here. They had a piece about TSG as an anomaly in the private equity industry for its high percentage of female employees. 50% of employees are women compared to 14% of private equity professionals in North America. That's from research from Preqin.
Woohoo!
I know.
So there
them.
you go. That's who owns the company that tweets about ass. That's all I'm saying.
If I'm going to nitpick Preqin, none of those were blonde statistics. Now I'm curious about those.
No, that's just me. I'm like, I guess I'm
But
very
that's what I'm
Aryan
saying. You can
focused. I
only
don't know
get
what's my
that
problem.
at free float. Preqin,
Thank you.
you can only get
They're
it
too
free
afraid
float.
to go there. Yeah, that's the big story of the day, right, Emma? Is there anything else interesting?
There's
That's
a
it.
slightly, it's
Oh.
a smaller story,
Oh.
not as interesting, but I don't know.
And it's a
Elizabeth,
bit of a coincidence, no? Like I didn't even
It
I
is
didn't
a bit
even
of a
realize writing that
coincidence.
story that you would be talking about another blonde.
yeah,
an
no,
infamous
this
blonde.
is
Infamous,
all
yeah.
blonde news today, from 3 brunettes.
Sorry, world.
So not as big a deal, obviously, but the Elizabeth Holmes verdict has finally
Oh.
arrived, and it's satisfying. She was found guilty on 4 out of 11 charges and faces up to
That's
20
it.
years in prison and a 250 grand fine per count. So she
That's
could be
nothing.
charged. Nah, I don't know. But the general
the jail
breakdown
time.
is as follows: 4 not guilties, 4 guilties, and 3 no verdicts, and 1 dropped charge.
So is
The
it
not
it's a
guilty
push?
charges. The not guilty charges basically absolve her of any wrongdoing when it comes to Theranos patients, while the guilty charges primarily involve
Bullshit.
defrauding her big-time investors, including but not limited to Betsy DeVos, Henry Kissinger's lawyer, and a massive investment firm in San Francisco that brought in Department of Defense money. So,
Cool.
all
Full
the
of
people
blonde
who
women.
deserve recompense, clearly.
Or Betsy
Um,
DeVos.
Oh, yeah, my favorite.
It is a blonde. It is
Yeah,
a blonde.
I'm just saying. We don't look. This is an anomaly in this world. I'm just saying.
Yes, it is. All of that is striking for a number of reasons, the main one being that the guilty charges seem to center wealthy people and institutions who were negatively impacted financially, while the not guilty charges were mostly about patients who were misdiagnosed with potentially deadly
Yeah, what's
conditions.
up with that? I don't get that.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah.
A woman was misdiagnosed with HIV. A person
Yeah.
was misdiagnosed twice with prostate cancer. It was
Yeah.
bad. But the juicy stuff actually is in the third category, no verdict. The no verdict charges are as follows: wire fraud involving Alan Eisman, a retired money manager from Texas who personally invested $1 million in Theranos. And Alan was actually offered 5 times his initial investment in 2010 by Elizabeth Holmes to buy back his shares, which he refused. Number 2. Wire fraud in connection to a $5 million investment from Black Diamond Ventures, an LA-based venture capital firm, and apparently this firm was heavily cautioned to not invest in Theranos, which they proceeded to do anyway. And finally, number 3, wire fraud regarding a $5 million investment from Hall Group, a Texan investment firm who never actually had a single meeting with Elizabeth Holmes before investing. Because the jury was in a deadlock, these charges will most likely be declared as a mistrial, but it all in all, generally sounds like some idiots not doing due diligence to me, but I suppose they shouldn't have been defrauded regardless.
Wait.
I don't know.
We can talk about this in our newly added conversational piece that we append to the end of our
air
show.
quotes
But why-
conversation.
But why the hell is that the juicy
No.
part? Those no verdicts are juicy? How? I don't get it. But
I
you can
think-
save it. You can save it.
Okay,
Not one
I'll
of them
save
was
it. I'll save
blonde.
it.
I don't feel.
Not
I
one
didn't
of
feel any
them.
juice. I didn't feel thirsty. I didn't feel.
All right, well then you give me
Emma.
some juice, Damien. What do you
All
have?
right. Later, you can explain to me later. All right. One more story today. Painfully, I had to get rid of some funny stuff about Starbucks and Burger King, but these two
Oh my God.
yelled at me. Here's the story. Oh, out of Bloomberg. We're kind of following up on Bloomberg is doing a lot of pieces about like MSCI, ESG, Blackrock. So here's a follow-up. We talked about. Didn't we talk about this, Matt? Did we talk about this? I feel like we did. Who cares?
We talk about it anymore.
Here's the headline: How Blackrock made ESG the hottest ticket on Wall Street.
hot.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
What does it even mean, hottest ticket on Wall Street? I don't even know what that means.
Nothing.
Here's the quote. Our flows continue to grow and dominate. That's from BlackRock CEO Larry Fink. I want to say that again.
flows.
Our flows continue to grow and dominate. Okay, that's about, he's talking about BlackRock's main ESG fund, which is
Nope.
called ESGU.
That was
Or-
not a Viagra commercial. That was for an investment fund.
Yeah, that's the fund ESGU for sure. Or iShares ESG Aware MSCI USA ETF for short. That's the full name.
That's the tagline.
All right, the crux of the article is that BlackRock forced clients into its ESG vehicle without clients necessarily choosing one as a specific investment strategy or even knowing that their money has gone into one. Okay? It kind of sounds a little bit like Theranos, right? No due diligence. Is this like taking my Subaru in for an oil change and not checking whether they are using peanut or sesame oil? According to the article, BlackRock uses ESG ratings from MSCI, which counts BlackRock as its largest customer. What the article fails to point out is that BlackRock is also MSCI's second largest shareholder. Bloomberg, why do you leave that out? Isn't that important? Is it? Okay. ESG Aware maybe should be called ESG Beware. because it includes such companies as Chevron, Exxon, Facebook, Amazon, McDonald's, J.P. Morgan Chase.
No puns.
This is according to research from Bloomberg Intelligence, the research arm of Bloomberg. So what are we talking about here? I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know why you're asking me. I just wanted to say, it's the only reason why I picked this story is I wanted to say flows continue to grow and dominate, and point out that Bloomberg is clearly going to launch its own ESG ratings product, right? They're gonna launch an ESG ratings product that actually will measure how good a company really is, right? Because why else do they keep hammering away at this, Matt? I don't know. You want to segue right into our conversation piece now?
Yeah. Well, we do have a theme today.
Yeah. Wrap it up for us.
Which that was our blonde no due diligence news today.
No, I mean, wrap up the theme. Come on, put it in a theme box.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Look, the theme the theme here very clearly to me is investors will buy anything they think will make them money, whether it's a fraudulent healthcare company that's still private, whether it's ESG stuff that they can sell, or whether it's ass. They will buy it if they think. Well, I'm trying to fit the PBR one in here, the big story of the day, which was try eating ass. They'll try anything as long as they think there's something in it for them. I do want to ask Emma, because in pre-production we were talking about the Theranos verdicts, and you were really upset about the fact that it was like the investors got theirs, but the
patients got
didn't?
nothing. The patients got nothing. So the divide in the verdicts is very, very stark. There was only one more institutional body that didn't get their recompense, which was a advertising company that they paid like $1 million for advertising when they were going to come into Walgreens stores in 2015, and it was whatever. But then the other two people that directly got impacted by their not guilty charges were a woman who got misdiagnosed with HIV and someone who got misdiagnosed with prostate cancer, and that was a not guilty.
Well, maybe because it's better the other way around. Like, it was better that they got diagnosed with having a disease and not having it, as opposed to not having the disease and having the disease and
divide,
right?
Carry the one.
What's the harm? Just they were sad for a few months, right? Like, oh, you have AIDS. Oh no, you don't. Right? I mean, it's better. It's better than not getting treatment. Was what I'm saying.
It's fine, but how happy would you be if a purportedly reputable medical institution said, "Oh, you have a potentially deadly disease," and then they said, and you were emotionally devastated or whatever, and you went to the doctor and you put time into dealing with it, and then all of a sudden they were like, no, wait, sorry. No HIV, no prostate cancer.
Yeah.
You're all set.
I'm with you. We need some of those like Stop and Shop robots to deal. Here's the problem with juries, right? Is that they're human. I mean, we need that robot at the U.S. Open that does balls in and out to do these. Because how the hell is it all not guilty? I don't really understand.
Well, if they're human, how do they not side with the humans involved here? Like
well, that's what's interesting. Is like why? Yeah, why do you think these you were gonna back up why you thought the no verdicts were so juicy? Because I don't see why they're juicy. But why do you think those went to no verdict and some got guilty? And what happened here?
So the reason that I think they're juicy is because I think it is something that we are certainly not qualified to talk about here, but that doesn't usually stop us. So I'm going to steamroll right ahead.
Yeah. She's speaking for herself.
Which is a legal issue.
I have an advanced degree. I have a master's degree.
All of these people were placed in circumstances where they could have done due diligence or they could have made different decisions if they had done their due diligence, and they didn't. So they got defrauded. So in my mind, the reason it's juicy is, do they deserve to have a no verdict charge to get it thrown out because of a mistrial?
Right.
Because they were stupid. Like, it's stupidity.
But that's the same as the people who got the guilties, though. They should have done their due diligence too.
Yeah.
right? You talk about Betsy DeVos and Henry Kissinger's lawyer, right? Why did
Mm-hmm.
they should have
Yeah.
done their due diligence.
Right. So I think that the juiciness is why them and not the people where they were
I
in a
don't,
deadlock. I
still
don't
not tasting any
understand
juice.
the
I
difference.
think the juiciness is
Yeah, I
actually
need some
not
better juice.
this trial at all. A lot of the
Oh,
conversation
Oh, good God.
centers around the fact that this is another. They basically, I saw a tweet from Professor Scott Galloway. Shout out to Scott.
really? Do
Hey,
we
Uh,
shout
Scott.
out to Scott? Because he doesn't ever shout out to us.
he's stolen our lines before. I tweeted at him, and
Probably
he actually
true.
stole our line on a podcast. That's not neither here nor there. He did point
Oh,
out
it's
that
here.
like there of the fraud cases that have actually gone to trial, like the 2 guilty verdicts were women, and all the rest are
Martha Stewart, another blonde
Martha
woman.
Stewart and now Elizabeth Holmes.
Yeah.
But I think the real test is going to be Nicola.
Mm.
Today,
here we go.
the news dropped about Trevor Milton, because Nicola settled with the SEC, the company, but Trevor Milton has been indicted for fraud and he's had to step down effectively because he's a big fat lying jerk. Who now he didn't defraud customers by rolling a truck down the hill. He defrauded investors. If he goes to jail, what it says to me is that we only care about who loses money, nothing else. And we care relatively equally about it. If you lie to investors' faces, they really don't like that, and you're going to, the chance that you go to prison is really high. But if Trevor Milton ends up paying a fine or not going to jail or is found not guilty, then we find out we really don't like it when women say stuff that even feels like fraud.
Well,
we send them to jail.
we're joking about it, but 3 of the most infamous corporate scandals or people in the last 10, 20 years have been blonde women. We got Martha Stewart, probably the only person who ended up in jail for insider trading. We have Elizabeth Holmes today. And then we had
Yep.
Marissa Mayer from Yahoo, who got
Oh,
an
yeah.
unusual amount of attention for failing at a tech company, one of 8 million tech companies that failed. I know Yahoo was big, but it clearly wasn't all her fault. Blah, 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 blah. 3 blonde women in the crosshairs. That's all I'm going to say.
Really don't like the
Yeah.
blonde women.
Yeah. No, we love the blonde women. We love everybody.
I'm saying courts.
Of course, right? Exactly. Yeah. And before we wrap this up, I got to laugh at the New York Times. They said 2 things which made me chuckle. And you know me, I don't chuckle very often. It signals. They said this is in Deal Book. It says it signals the end of an era for the tech industry, where the line between talk and achievement is often vague. The end of an era for like faking it. Essentially, we know that's not true. I don't even
Yeah.
know why. I don't even know what gives you the right to publish that New York Times. So you're predicting the future. I mean, come on. You think tech cares anything about this? Stop it.
Flows will grow and dominate.
The other thing it says is that tech world can't avoid its association with Holmes, like that somehow they're stained by this. Everyone knows that's
Please.
bullshit too. I mean, come on.
Everyone's
I
a
mean, I'm sorry, New
liar.
York Times. Yeah, I know you want
Stop
to be all
it.
Pollyannish about stuff, but this case, yeah, it's not gonna have an effect on anything or anyone.
Okay.
Stop it, New York Times.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead, Emma.
an effect on the bullshitty culture of startups and tech. Agreed.
Fake it till you make it.
However, I did find a very interesting take from a UCLA law professor,
Okay.
the title of which is Elizabeth Holmes' conviction is actually a win for women. Can you guess why she thinks it is a win for
Yeah,
women
tell
as
me,
opposed to
tell me.
everyone else who thinks that it was a total scourge on the
Dying to know. Tell me.
past and future of female E CEOs?
Why?
Yeah. I'm
Oh,
guessing
we're
it has
playing the
to do
game.
with
We're actually playing a game.
turtlenecks.
Win for women
Turtlenecks?
because there can never be a more embarrassing female CEO. I don't know what's the win. Tell me.
The win, according to
Yes.
Miss Stemple, is that the jury didn't buy the defense team's argument that she
Oh,
was not of sound mind to do this. So they basically were saying that her boyfriend at the time and partner in
Yeah.
the company was domestically abusing her, and that she was in distress and she was making
He was
all of
basically
these
the
decisions.
COO, right? Wasn't he essentially
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Yeah, no, he
Mhm.
he was involved too, and he's gonna go through trial next. So it was her, and then his name is Sunny. Sunny Balwani is going into trial next. And so basically the jury didn't buy their defense. And so what she's arguing is
Yes.
they tried to use like bullshitty feminism and Me Too to sort of
Oh, I got you.
soften the blow and make her seem naive and not accountable, and the jury didn't buy it. So the reason it's a win for women is that she is actually being viewed by the jury as an accountable,
Right.
capable woman of defrauding people. So
Yeah, sure.
wow.
So
Mhm.
she's shrill, and we hate women in general. But you're not so shrill that you couldn't defraud somebody. Sorry.
So so
That's
what she says is they were painting her as a victim, and they tried to exploit victims. They were saying, "Oh, she's a victim, so she defrauded people." And the jury was like, "No, being
Well, they
a victim
know
of
about
domestic violence does
certain of her
not
victims.
mean that you
Yeah.
defraud investors of millions and millions of dollars. Like
Yeah, except
she
they
is
said no
accountable."
again, but they said no only 4 out of 11 times. I don't get it. I really,
they,
it's
they
like,
basically said no. The
no.
percentage of women that
It's
are on
true.
most boards.
Really, if this was
Right.
if Elizabeth Holmes was playing baseball, she'd be doing quite well. I mean, she, 7
Says
out of
360.
11.
She's
Yeah, I
batting
mean, it's
360.
anyway, that's all I got to say.
With that, I'm getting out of here, and so are all of you. That was Damian Rollison. I'm Lark. I'm Matt Moscardi. We are Free Float Media. If you like this, we know you don't, but share it with somebody. And don't be blonde. That's the lesson of today's episode. We'll talk to you tomorrow when we do more Biz Nuggets. Goodbye.